Hey everyone, how you doing? Wade McElwain, NFL in London. Joining me, Will Gavin, Ryan Cull, and Edo Delamonte. Now, every week we play along with DraftKings. We've got DraftKings at the Hippodrome Casino. Just go along and play. www.draftkings.co.uk/Hippo. With DraftKings, you've got to put together a 9-man roster with a $50,000 budget. Who do you put on your team? Who's on your squad? Who's actually healthy? Oh my gosh, I'll ask these guys. Who's on their squad? Let's start, guys, with quarterback this week. Quarterback position, some interesting matchups, some interesting games. Who do you have for quarterback this week? Let's start with you, Will Gavin. Who do you got?
I've gone Philip Rivers.
All right.
San Diego against Indianapolis. I think that Colts defense are turgid. And I really like... I was really impressed with what they did against the Jags. And I know the Jags are still a very young team, but those other weapons are clearly working for him. Travis Benjamin there as well. And I like him to score a lot of points this week, so I fancy Philip Rivers.
He's very good. He scores lots of points and lots of kids. Ryan?
Here's a sentence I have never said in my life, but I have Ryan Tannehill.
What? Does he play for Buffalo?
Yeah, there we go. Look at me. No, because I think, again, I'm going with your rule. Let's go against whoever's playing Cleveland.
There you go. It's a good rule.
Cleveland has just got no identity right now. So many rookies. It's in Miami. And actually, if you look at Ryan Tannehill, he threw for almost 400 yards against the Patriots last week. He's going to be slinging it. Landry and Parker looking good. And he's got, the running game's not great, and that's why he's going to be slinging it so much. So I think, actually, right, Ryan Tannehill, I think he's going to get about 3 touchdowns this week. Might not get 300 yards, but, you know, it's Cleveland. They're going to win.
It's against Cleveland, that's
Cody
right.
Kessler. They're going to be turnovers. They're going to get the ball in great field position and going to be able to walk in. So I think it's going to be a blowout. So Ryan Tannehill.
All right, let's get that. I'm going to keep that recording of you going Ryan Tannehill and putting your fist in the air. We'll get a T-shirt made of it.
I am starting him in all my leagues.
Wow.
I was almost on the Tannehill hype train, but then I just remembered it was after the Patriots softened off last week. And I can't back Tannehill. I just can't do it. It just feels so wrong.
Edo, who do you got as your quarterback then?
Matthew Stafford, 6,800. He have the 3-23 record against winning teams, but that's winning teams with their records checked at the end of the season. When they're 500 or better at the time, his record is actually far better. And there's something, he's been quite productive so far. Green Bay's defense hasn't looked very good. I'm not that impressed, for example, with Jacksonville. Blake Bortles last season had 2 first-quarter touchdowns, and yet, and not that many in the second quarter either. Against Green Bay, he was able to throw it. He was actually doing quite well.
Yeah.
So I think that Stafford could have some joy at 6,800. They look really good. They had 8 or 9 drops against Tennessee in what was already quite a productive game. It would be even better had obviously some of those been caught. And he was really good in week 1 against Indianapolis, an equally turgid defense. Dominic Grigson should be fired, incidentally, but that's another story for another time. Ryan Grigson, sorry.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, 6,800, I think is a steal.
All right, we go into running backs. You get 2 running backs when you're playing along with DraftKings. And who do you choose from? Who's actually healthy? Because there's a lot of people got knocked out last week. So you're going to have to be very smart.
Looks bad.
And also choose the replacements who you think are actually going to get you fantasy points. Ryan, let's start with you. Your 2 fantasy running backs.
I'm going with, number 1, I'm going with Ezekiel Elliott. I think he's finally has to have that breakout game that everyone's been expecting.
Every week.
Because he's playing the Bears? Because he's playing the Bears? Is that why?
Every week we've been saying, when is Ezekiel's turn to break out? I think this is going to finally be it. I think Dallas is getting a bit more confident. And my other one is Mark Ingram, who finally has to do something, to be honest with you guys. As I think New Orleans is seeing that, they got, with Oakland the first week, they were throwing it. But Oakland's given up 1,000 yards of offense.
It's the worst defensive, they're horrible.
They're noticing that, you can't just go and sling it all day. You actually need to have a bit of a run game. And I think you're going to see New Orleans bring back a bit more of the run because they've not been using Mark Ingram at all this year. And I think it's really slowing them down. And you're just going to have to use him, and he's finally going to break out. He's finally going to get in the end zone.
All right, big bold prediction. Edo, who do you got your 2 running backs this week?
I have Melvin Gordon of San Diego against Indianapolis because from training camp onwards, he's looked like the player that people, that the Chargers drafted out of Wisconsin because he was absolute garbage last year, but now he's a points machine. And he's playing Indianapolis, who have never had a run defense. Yeah. I love the sort of blueprint for Indianapolis. Get a really good quarterback, get a few good receivers, and then nothing else. It's all right. You'll win a Super Bowl, maybe, and in the other 10 years, you'll crash out in the playoffs, if not before, of course. So Melvin Gordon at 5,800, that's a really good price. If you look at the top range of those running backs, they're either really expensive, so you've got the David Johnsons of this world. Below that, it's not so good. So I think that 5,800 is a good price. The other one is someone who I hope goes down in the 4th, not in match day 3, DeMarco Murray, 6,300.
Okay.
He is playing Oakland, so This means that I'm essentially handing over the keys to Mike Mularkey, which is generally never a good idea. But they were running quite decently. Mariota, I think, he started looking composed in drives, last week. So at 6,300, I think Murray can really start. Mularkey is one of the few people who still believes that running this is not a pass-first league.
Yeah.
And so far, actually, you've seen that some of the teams who run more are actually doing better. So at the other end of the spectrum, like Washington and whatnot. And then at the run more, you have people like Denver.
Yeah.
So it's maybe not even the Jets.
Well, it was 2 running teams last year.
It was 2 running teams. Yeah. So maybe Mike Mularkey is right this one time.
All right, who do you got in your running backs?
Because I'm a giant crowd pleaser, I've picked one of each of their running
that's
backs.
nice.
I've got both the Melvins, Ingram and Gordon.
Okay.
I'm all in on Melvin Gordon. The 3 touchdowns so far this year, he's looked good in all those situations. And they don't have Danny Woodhead anymore. They're going to have to lean on him. They're going up against a bad team. All in all, points galore for, 5,800?
There you go.
And then Melvin Ingram, I'm completely with you on this. I think that Ingram is going to have a great week this week. I think they're going to have to balance it out against Atlanta. Desmond Trufant takes out at least one of your options in the air. Get it on the ground, run it some more, get him in the end zone. Good balance.
All right, let's go back to Edo then for wide receivers. You get 3 wide receivers with DraftKings. Who are you choosing for your wide receivers? Edo, hit me.
Kelvin Benjamin at 7,200. Amari Cooper, 7,700. Actually, let's present them one by one. Benjamin is a monster. Didn't look good in camp. Who cares? He didn't look that good at Florida State either until you realize he's a monster and he will catch the ball and there's nothing you can do about it. If Xavier Rhodes, he came back to training but only on a limited basis. If this Vikes cornerback does not play, all of a sudden they're left with, I believe it's Newman and Waynes.
I think Terrence Newman's looked really good so far this year, though.
Yeah, but there's a height advantage. Benjamin just put the ball there and it's like, oh, okay.
He's a bit of a beast.
Cam Newton doesn't mind people dropping catches either. You've seen that with Ted Ginn as well. And this was, I believe, on Football Guys. They basically, I think it was Sigmund Bloom went, he'll keep going with a guy no matter how things are going. Benjamin had a freakish week last week. Actually, he was really good in week 1 as well. So all of a sudden, I think he's a really good option. And he's not super expensive. Amari Cooper is playing Tennessee. Derek Carr's been throwing it to him a lot. Amari's also looked extremely good this year. I like that price. It's maybe a tad on the steep side, but that's really good. My last guy, 4,100, Steve Smith.
Ooh, senior?
He's still getting the ball. Joe
Flacco's still tossing it to him.
His junior's nearly in the league at this point.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Ridiculous how long this man has lasted. But yeah, it's against.
Still got wheels on him too.
Yeah, of course. And Jacksonville's secondary hasn't looked that good.
No.
Isn't Gus Bradley a secondary coach? Let's not talk about that. Let's talk about the fact that, oh no, wait, they're not really rushing the passer that well either. And so I don't think Baltimore's offense is that elite. Joe Flacco elite. Let's talk about that. No. But what I mean is they'll still be airing the ball out a lot. People may be trying to cover Mike Wallace a little bit more. Steve Smith has been getting some good receptions, some good totals without being great. He will probably have his early season, sort of rise before he eventually just dips because of age. So I think he's still going to be good for this one.
All right, dips before age. That's what I'm trying to do. Ryan,
All right.
what is on your
With
wide
my
receivers?
3, I decided to go with number 1. I went with Amari Cooper. I totally agree. I think he had a touchdown call back last week, which was real devastating. But he's just he's got such a great rapport with Derek Carr. Derek Carr is amazing. Again, they have to throw it out because their defense can't stop anybody.
Yeah.
And Murray hasn't been looking as good, so I think you're going to see a lot more Derek Carr throwing it. And Cooper's finally going to have that breakout game I think everyone's kind of been waiting for him to have. The other one I went is Sterling Shepard. Because I think that everyone's been talking about Josh Norman, Odell Beckham. Like, that's all the story's about. And then you have Victor Cruz is getting this comeback story of the year. And then who's picking up all the benefit of that is Sterling Shepard, who no one's covering him. Gets to go in the slots, just gets to play around, going against a nickel corner all the time. And I think he's just going to be one of those guys who's going to be potential rookie of the year in the way things are going. And he's at and then I'm going to go with my last one, which is who had the breakout game of the year, Stephon Diggs. I'm going to go with that at 5,100. He's really cheap, I think, especially with you have Adrian Peterson going down. Again, they could get down fast early, like down 10, 15 points, and they're going to have to chuck it. And Stephon Diggs has just looked unstoppable. They're going to find a way to get him the ball. He's got good rapport, and he's pretty much their only receiver. So unless they can find a way to stop it, I think he's going to get his targets, and that's all you can really ask for.
Cool. You spend some good money there. And what do you got for your wide receivers, Will?
So my general strategy with DraftKings has always been never go for those very top guys. And yet the last 2 weeks I've been on and picked one of the top 3 receivers. Julio Jones up against that New Orleans secondary. It might be 9,500, but when he gets you 25 fantasy points, you won't mind spending that extra money. And as long as you find the extra value elsewhere, because even against the Giants where it was a low-scoring game, he's got 100-yard games out of Shepard, and I think Beckham as well, or he's closing in on 100. So I expect Julio's going to have a huge day. As my mid-range guy, Mike Evans.
Okay.
The Rams secondary has not been good, but they've been lucky enough to come up against a receiving core which has been leading through Jeremy Curley in the 49ers, and then a Seattle team who can't throw the ball because their quarterback's crooked. So I think that Mike Evans is due a big day, and it's in Tampa Bay. Jameis at home. Loves to find those big targets in the red zone. And then to kind of make up for the fact I went really big early, I've gone for Cole Beasley.
Okay, wow.
Cole Beasley's 3,200, and he is leading the Cowboys in receptions. I know it's not a PPR league, but if he finds the end zone, you're looking at like a 12, 13-point guy. He's been averaging 7 or 8 points a week. And, you know, for a guy that cheap.
For that cheap, in the 3,000 range, that's great. All right, so we also have tight ends. You could put a tight end. You know, Gronk is supposed to be playing Thursday night, but is he going to play? Who knows? He would be very expensive. So a lot of people are going to probably not choose him. So, guys, who is your tight end for this week? Will, let's start with you, tight end.
Well, Dennis Pitta. But again, we talked about the Joe Flacco effect. Dennis Pitta has been Joe Flacco's go-to guy. He's his best friend. They go on holiday together. They're just really good buddies. And he's been finding him pretty consistently already. And then in Jacksonville, you've got a team who, in that second tier of their defense, haven't been able to cover guys so far. You talked about them covering Mike Wallace. I think they will try and cover the deep ball with Jalen Ramsey and those guys. It's just going to open up space for Dennis Pitta. I think he can have like a 7-catch, 80-yard day. And, you know, for 3,400, that's not bad.
All right, Edo, you were nodding. Do you also...
Flacco, put him in the dirt. Dennis Pitta. that Super Bowl year, all of a sudden, when they developed that chemistry, also thanks to Jim Caldwell, that's a surprise, they actually managed to develop a pretty good attack, and they went on to the Super Bowl, and Pitta had a starring role. Then injuries obviously did to him what we know they did, but at 3,400 against that secondary, and Jacksonville have brought in so many guys, it's going to take him some time to adapt, and it really hasn't looked all that impressive so far. And yeah, I'm just a big fan. I think there's chemistry here. There will definitely be targets, which I really like as well. Sometimes you don't get the reset, but I mean, Pitta has been good anyway, but the target numbers are high as well, so he's going to keep going for him. Yeah, I'm just a big fan of that price.
Ryan, you eating a big bite of the pita bread?
Into the bargain basement.
Oh, yeah.
I took Jared Cook. Jared Cook on Green Bay because I think if you're watching those games, Jared Cook's actually getting a lot of targets. Everyone talks about Richard Rodgers. Richard Rodgers isn't a player any team's worried about. You know, he's famous for catching a Hail Mary, and that might be like one of his only catches of his career. To be honest with you, Jared Cook's a great athlete. He's a great tight end. And just the problem is he's been on crappy teams for the last 2-3 years. And I think now that he's starting to get a little bit of a flow, and I think once Green Bay starts getting some points, they're going to be throwing it to their tight end. Like, that's what the thing Green Bay has been missing probably for the last couple of years. When Aaron Rodgers was at his best, he had great tight ends. And I think that's what they're missing right now because the receivers are great, but they need that guy who can stretch the middle of the field. And he's an absolute monster athletically and built. He just has to find that right time with that quarterback. And I think it's now with Aaron Rodgers. I think it's going to be at 2,900, you know, at one touchdown.
Good value.
It's great value.
All right, guys, you also have a flex position. One flex position. Just tell me why and who you chose your flex position. Who do you got in your flex?
Sterling Shepard, for many of the reasons that Ryan already stated. That Washington linebacking core cannot cover for love nor money. The slot guy will have success against Washington all year. Sterling Shepard.
Flex, Edo.
Spencer Ware, 5,700.
Ooh, taking a...
It's a little bit of a risk, but the only running success I saw from Buffalo against the Jets was the fact that you could throw the ball to the running backs and get them moving. And Spencer Ware, so this obviously depends if Jamal Charles plays or not. If he doesn't, I would recommend someone maybe shaving a little bit off and go for Jeremy Maclin, who was also a great choice, but he's 6,000. But I'm a big fan.
Ryan, flex?
I went with T.Y. Hilton.
Okay, all right.
I think with Dante Moncrief's out 4 to 6 weeks now, T.Y. Hilton's the man. And I think we've seen, you know, Colts D is not going to stop anybody. So it's going to be up to Andrew Luck to get 35, 40 points a game. And who's going to benefit the most? T.Y. Hilton. Maybe another guy, if you wanted like a sneaky guy, would be like a Philip Dorsett as well. Like one of those two. But he's the burner guy. Hilton's going to be the guy who gets the most targets.
All right, now your defense. I was going to bring up the defense, but I've already.
we all have the
you
same.
all have the
If
same.
nobody has picked
Count of 3, you guys can say it. 1, 2.
Dolphins.
You've all chosen the Dolphins.
Yeah, Cody Kessler.
Cody Kessler.
Lots of turnovers. That front looks
Lord
really
hates
good for the
Cleveland.
Dolphins.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a look at. We're going to go and take a look at the lineups. We'll take a look at Edo's lineup then first. Edo has got Stafford, Gordon, Murray, Benjamin, Cooper, Smith Sr., Peta, Spencer Ware, and the Dolphins. Moving on to Ryan's lineup, Tannehill, Ezekiel Elliott, Ingram, Cooper, Sterling Shepard, Stephon Diggs, Cook, Hilton, and the Dolphins. Over to Will's. Rivers, Gordon, Ingram, Beasley, Evans, Jones, Pitta, Shepard, and Dolphins. And my lineup, because I also put one in, I got Mariota, because I think he's going to torch him. Jarek McKinnon, because he's got to run. They need somebody to run. DeMarco Murray, who will also run. Travis Benjamin and Philip Dorsett. 2 guys on opposite teams, but Benjamin's going to get the ball a lot from Rivers. Dorsett's going to take the ball a lot from Luck. Odell Beckham Jr. Jacob Tamme from Atlanta, because he's been playing really well. And then I've got Dez Bryant in my flex position. And the D, the best D, I think, in the game right now, the Broncos, who are going to destroy Cincinnati. How do you get involved? Play along with us. Go to DraftKings. Go to DraftKings.co.uk/Hippo. Play against us in the Hippodrome contest this week. You can win tickets to the international game. Play with DraftKings and win. And come visit us at the Hippodrome Casino in Leicester Square every Sunday. Welcome to the big time.